Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Word Around the Ring podcast. My name is Big Rob, and I'll let my tag team partner introduce himself.
I'm King Jess, and we're the only podcast that doesn't give you notice when we're about to take a short break. But we do have some big news on a comeback. So, Rob, why don't you go ahead and tell our fans what that big news is?
Definitely super excited to announce that this episode is actually brought to you by our very first sponsor, Nightbloom Vodka. Nightbloom is an American made craft vodka of the highest standard. Nightbloom offers a diverse range of extraordinary blends using artisanal ingredients to create a truly unique taste of vodka. Check out their three main vodka lines, Nightbloom N1, N2, and 3, all curated for different taste buds on their website, nightbloomspirits.com. And make sure to grab yourself a bottle of Nightbloom before your next pay per view watch.
So, we've been gone for a bit, buddy. You and me both recently, well, we can catch up the fans a little bit on what's been going on, why we've been gone. You and me both separately took vacations. I got to go to New York for the first time, and you came out to Vegas to visit some family. So, how's it been, man? What'd you come out and do in Vegas?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while, so excited to finally be back here recording with you, Jess. Missed you. Hope you had a blast in New York. In terms of what I got to do in Vegas, it was my nephew's fourth birthday, so we got to celebrate that. Got to take him some new wrestling figures as well because he's a huge wrestling fan. So was super excited to see him and catch up with some family that I hadn't seen in a while. But I want to hear about your time in New York. Did you get to try some New York style pizza, a bacon, egg, and cheese? What was that like?
I did. I had a bacon, egg, and cheese from just a random bodega that we came across in, I think it was in Brooklyn. And then I had my first slice of za from Joe's, which I was really excited. It was really good, really, really bomb. I had the Supreme, I think, and just a regular pep. Both were great choices. And then I had my bagel from, I think it's called Tom's. I think that's what it was called, Tom's, and that was really fucking bomb too. But overall, New York was a success. So much that I'm actually thinking about going back in December with my girl. We kind of have like a holiday trip that we're gonna plan because I've been back maybe like a month and I already want to go back. Like I did not have enough New York in one trip.
Yeah, New York is definitely a place you have to spend a little bit of time in. I was blessed enough to live there for a few years, so I'm glad you got to experience a weekend out there. But there is no better time in New York than Christmas. I think that is the most magical the city is ever during that time frame there. So hopefully you and your girl get to make a trip out there in December.
Yeah, hopefully. My favorite holiday is Christmas, so like that's exactly why we want to go. So I'm ready to see the lights. I'm ready to eat more food when I'm out there. But yeah, we've been gone for a little bit. Once we came back from our trips, you fell into a little bit of a sickness, and I was in the middle of moving my girl out of her apartment, so we got a little bit busy, and that's why we've been gone. But we are back now, and we'll be continuing with our regular sessions like always. But today's is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more special because we've been gone through quite a couple pay per views, Rob, and I think it's time that we at least let our voices be heard on what we thought was the best and the worst from the past pay per views that came out. So why don't we go ahead and start with AW All In?
Fantastic. AW All In. I thought this was a solid show. I enjoyed it. I thought Wembley Stadium was rocking for them for the show in particular. I did, of course, we did see a drastic difference in audience attendance. I think 2023's All In was at 70,000 and then this year's was at 50,000. But I will say, I thought that the crowd showed up for the majority of these matches, and it almost felt like it was louder this year than it was last year, if I'm remembering it correctly.
I mean,
Um,
fifty
there were,
thousand is still impressive. Like it's nothing to squawk at,
oh,
you know.
for sure.
A lot of people like to compare numbers. There's no reason to compare numbers when you could still see seats in the or butts in the seats. You know, they obviously had a large crowd, and like you said, the crowd was actually bumping. That was something that me and my buddy were worrying about was that it wasn't open top, so that gets a little bit tricky when being able to hear what the crowd is saying for that noise to travel. But I think the crowd there did a phenomenal job at letting them know how they felt during each match.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they were very much into it. There were some low periods, of course, with like a 5 6 hour show. There's always going to be some low periods, and that is one thing that I wish AEW could do better is just shortening their pay-per-views, making those matches a little bit more special that actually get to make it on the card itself. I think in terms of surprises, we they did a very good job. I think in terms of a few debuts that we saw, or maybe it was just the one in Ricochet, was very interesting. We'll get into a little bit more details in regards to that. But overall, I thought it was a fun, solid show. Uh, it was one of their better pay per views over the last couple months. I would say maybe their best. And they had a lot of highlights in throughout the show. But I want to hear your thoughts on which one was your favorite match of the night.
Yeah. So overall, I would say that the pay per view also was really good. At no point would I say that I was completely like bored or anything. I think there was maybe like one match that I didn't pay too much attention to, but overall, I would say that AEW finally presented a pay per view that I could say is good. The problem with the pay per view, though, for me at least, was some of the finishes. And in my best match of the night, that's actually my only gripe with it. My best match of the night was a Casino Gauntlet. I thought this match was amazing. I thought this match had great spots. The people coming out in their designated spots made sense. There were some times where it would slow down, and then with the pop, it would come right back up. My big gripe with it was just the fact that we had Christian win at the end. I don't see why we had to have that happen. I understand that he's a very popular character in AEW and people like this gimmick, but it just storyline wise, it just doesn't make sense to me of who he's gonna go after. But overall, I would say that for me was the best match of the night. So, what was your best of the night for AEW All In?
Definitely would agree. I thought that was a fun match before I get into my favorite match of the
Okay,
night. I thought that was a fun match there. We did get to see the debut of Ricochet
we did.
in the Casino Gauntlet match, which I thought was very interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about his debut and what he has been doing following his AEW
Yeah.
debut online and the online chatter that we've seen if you haven't seen it yet. But thought that was interesting. I'm glad, he finally got to where he wanted to be. But in terms of my favorite match of the night, this one was tough for me. I had two matches, and I think it sucks. I think it's not doesn't suck, but I think it's my two matches are very predictable. But MJF versus Will Ospreay, I thought that was a fantastic match. MJF's heel work throughout this was fantastic. My favorite part of his entrance is when the flag drops and it's his faces instead of the 50 stars on the flag. So seeing him on the American flag was always hilarious. And just overall thought that this was a great match. Will Ospreay and MJF know what they're doing in the ring. They have a lot of chemistry for guys who have just faced each other. I believe this was only their second time in the ring with each other following that 60-minute match that they had on AEW Dynamite a month or so ago. Overall, I thought this was a very fun, exciting, and spot-filled match, ultimately resulting in Will Ospreay finally using the Tiger Driver 91 on MJF to win the match, which is a move that has injured a few people in his career. And so him bringing that dog in him back and finally using that move to get over the hump and finally beat MJF in his home country, if I'm not mistaken, in front of that crowd was exciting. They had a blast popping for Will Ospreay there. So that was my favorite match of the night, but I cannot it wouldn't be fair for me to not give credit where credit is due in terms of the Swerve Strickland and Brian Danielson main event match. I thought that was another fantastic match that I thoroughly enjoyed. I had Swerve Strickland winning before watching this match. That's who my money was on. If
Hmm.
I were allowed to bet on wrestling, I would have lost the house there. Um,
Not the house again.
but I'm not the house again, but I'm not surprised Brian Danielson won. I just thought Swerve was going to put Danielson, send him into retirement. I thought that would have been an interesting angle and really would have put Swerve over. But I guess Danielson's run is not done in AEW or in the world of wrestling. Those are my two favorite matches there. What are your thoughts on those two?
Um, the MJF match is another one where I had a problem. Like, it was a good match. I just had the problem with the ending, and that's because and not even like I understand story wise, Will had to win. He had to use the move. He had to come up in his hometown. I understand that. But we just brought this belt out and we just put it on MJF. What do we do with this belt now? Was it just a temporary thing? Is that why we really didn't see any merch for it or anything like that? Like, my problem is, why did we cancel a belt in the process of this match happening? I feel like he could have still kept that belt even if he didn't like it. But that's just how I felt towards the end. I thought it was a great match, MJF versus Will Ospreay. It's just the ending was a little iffy for me. I feel like MJF should have won at least, or if Will Ospreay was gonna win, keep the belt. I don't know why the fuck they had to change it almost instantly back. Swerve Strickland versus Daniel Bryanson, another phenomenal match. Another one where I didn't understand the ending. I'm not sure if they've clarified it by now. I have been a little bit out of the loop in the wrestling game these past couple days. I don't know if they have clarified it yet, but technically Brian didn't have a contract, so I don't know why we're putting the belt on someone that didn't have a contract. I know Brian later came out and said, "I told them, please don't put the belt on me. You know, like you got plenty of people that you could put the belt on." But against his wishings, Tony Khan still went ahead and did it. So I think he's just as confused as we are of why he won. But we saw last night that they're still going to continue with him through the show. So it'll be interesting to see where Daniel Bryan goes from here. Because are we going to get a contract signing? Is he staying with AEW for much long? Is it just like a temporary thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see who actually sends him home, who takes the belt off of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship belt off of Bryan Danielson in the future. He'll hang on to it for a few more months. I don't think it's going to be that long of a reign.
Okay.
Uh, and there has been some interest and some speculation that I've heard that they actually want to put that belt on Darby Allin.
Oh God.
I'm interested to see how that would play out. I'm not a fan of it
What
off the
the
bat,
fuck?
personally. It doesn't sound like you're going to be too much of a fan of that idea either. I do want to go back to the Will Ospreay and MJF ending in match really quickly because you bring up a good point in regards to AEW's All In, the way their matches would end. I felt like it was a lot of run-ins.
Mm,
So we had Daniel Garcia actually run into the MJF match and cause a distraction, which ultimately resulted in Will Ospreay using the Tiger Driver on MJF and winning the match. And you did mention a good point. When we walked into that match, MJF was carrying the American Championship,
mm-hmm.
which is what he was defending. And then when he lost, immediately they brought out the American Championship to Will Ospreay's hands. He looked at it in disgust, which is a little disrespectful, Ospreay, I would say. Um, and immediately they gave him the original international championship. So he is now, once again, the international champion at the moment. I think that's interesting as well because I would think that they'd want to put the World Heavyweight Championship on Will Ospreay, being that he is what I feel like is the number one guy. So maybe Will Ospreay sends Bryan Danielson into retirement and he carries two belts in the future. I would like that more than Darby Allin. That's just me, and then it makes more sense in my brain.
They've faced each other already, right? Daniel Bryan and Will
Yes,
Ospreay.
and Will Ospreay won,
Yeah.
if I'm not
So
mistaken. They face each other at.
that would make a lot more sense. I don't know why the fuck it's again, it's the Tony Khan giving his favorite toys what they want, and I feel like he thinks that Darby Allin wants a belt and that's why he's gonna go that way. But I don't necessarily think he needs a belt. He's just fine where he's at right now.
Yeah, I don't think Darby Allin needs a belt either. Some wrestlers don't need belts, and that's
Yeah.
totally okay. Um, some can carry themselves very well without a title belt over their shoulders. I think we've seen that in a lot of individuals. People like CM Punk, he doesn't need a belt. But I'm not putting Darby Allin in the same stratosphere as CM Punk. Just providing an example here. I think Darby Allin carries that AEW persona very well. When you think of AEW, I think of Darby Allin. They're synonymous, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He is also a crazy motherfucker when it comes into spots. Even that last match with Sting, him and Sting versus the Young Bucks, where he flew fucking 25 feet off the ladder onto a panel of glass, things of that nature. I don't want to see a champion do that, shit like that.
Yeah, you would want your
But
champion to represent the company in a certain manner, almost not to a T of what Cody's doing, because for me at least to an extent what Cody's doing right now is kind of starting to get a little bit boring, but you do want that kind of person that you can send anywhere and you know he's going to act like a champion. Like he's gonna act like a representative for the company, and I just don't see that in Darby.
100%. I would agree completely. I thought Swerve was a great champion for how he carried it and
Mm-hmm.
his ability to do the outside press conferences, do the media runs, and things of that nature. I thought Swerve did that really well. So, sucked that Swerve's title reign ended at All In for me. I'm a big Swerve fan. So that sucked, but I can understand, happy for Brian Danielson. He's now won, I think, the world championship in every promotion. I don't think he's like a record holder in that sense. He's won
Mm-hmm.
it in Japan. He's won it in the WWE. Now he's won it in AEW. He never had to build up until now. So I think he's fucking making a crazy resume for himself when it comes into in terms of his wrestling accolades. So congratulations to him. I wanted to ask you as well, speaking of our best matches, what was your worst match of that pay-per-view?
Worst match of All In. Well, before we jump into that, I do want to sidestep for a little bit because we were talking about Strickland. Uh, in a fantasy booking world, okay, Swerve gets to go back to WWE. Do
Mm.
you bring Nana with him, and are you paying Nana a bag?
I
Because this is a discussion that we had between me and my buddy when we were watching the other night, and we kind of got deep into it because we're like, you kind of need him, but at the same time, you kind of don't. Now, if you bring him, do you pay him good money, or are you going to pay him a lot less? And that, of course, always brings turmoil. But do you bring him in with Swerve at all? Would you bring him in with Swerve at all if you were booking for WWE?
if I was booking for WWE, I would definitely bring him in. I would bring him in because I think he's almost like I said again, I don't want to equate the two. But when you think of Roman Reigns, you envision now Paul Heyman making the introduction.
Yeah.
And whenever I think of Swerve Strickland, I see Prince Nana doing the little dance, getting the crowd hype. The cool thing about AEW that I do enjoy is that they let their wrestlers go do indie shows.
Mm-hmm.
So Swerve has performed at a smaller indie company, House of Glory, out in New York, and every time he goes out there to perform and wrestle, he has Prince Nana with him, and it gets the crowd hype. He does a little dance swerve when he drives or whatever. In terms of money, I'm not sure how much I would give him. I'm not sure what their contractual obligations are at this moment in time. I do know that Swerve just signed a crazy extension that supposedly puts him as one of the highest paid wrestlers in AEW. So that's interesting to me because we already know people like MJF, Will Ospreay have gotten a fucking bag
Yeah.
from Mr. Tony Khan over there. I can only imagine how much money they just put in Swerve's pocket. So unfortunately, we probably won't be seeing him in WWE for a very long time. But if we do get to see him, I do want to see him with Prince Nana.
Okay.
Would you disagree?
No, actually, I'm with you. I think that they're synonymous to each other, and I feel like that pop. Like you don't announce Swerve, you don't even fucking break any leaks, and you just pop Nana. I feel like that alone will garner so many fucking views on YouTube. So I think if you just pop Swerve, yeah, it'll get you views. But if you pop that little like walkout with Nana and then he introduces Swerve, I think you got money. So I think you need Nana. On the pay, I feel like he deserves a good pay. Even though he doesn't get physical in the ring, I think he still does enough to bring up Swerve that I still think he deserves to get paid. I don't know if he's getting paid, a good amount over in AEW, but I still feel like even over there, he should be getting paid well because, like I said, he does elevate Strickland just that little bit more with the walkout, with the ringside persona. So yeah, I'm with you. My buddy Chow wasn't with me. He's like, I don't think you need him. But like I said, I think you and me both disagree. I think Nana is a plus to him that we need if he were ever to come. Like I said, it was fantasy booking. This is why I get your thoughts on it. But yeah, I think we bring Nana in with him if it were to
I
happen,
agree. For
So
sure. 1,000%.
let's get to you asked me what my worst match was. I think the match that bored me the most, the match that I was like, fuck, did I kind of just don't want to pay attention to this, was Perry versus Allen. They both wrestle, I don't know, recklessly, I guess. And it's not something that I don't need a full reckless match. to be entertained. I feel like that's what it was. So it kind of just mind numbs me. So in that sense, I think that a match that went in that style of just like constant aggression and just reckless injury, reckless styles of wrestling that can injure you, I feel like this was my least favorite match of the night.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think that was the greatest of matches either. I was very surprised. And for the listeners who didn't get to watch the match, this was a coffin match.
Hmm.
So the goal was for each other's opponents to place each other in the coffin and close the coffin door, the casket, I should say. Close the casket door on each other.
Hmm.
The first one who was able to close the casket wins the match. Jack Perry ended up winning this match here. I think the ending was, if I'm not mistaken, once Darby was in the casket, he went to go grab lighter fluid. Am I not correct?
You
Or
are correct. I
gasoline?
completely forgot about this
Yeah,
shit.
he went to go grab gasoline because I think the Young Bucks came out to help him in
Hmm.
the match.
They
He
brought
went to go
out the
grab
gasoline.
gasoline. Yes, they brought out the gasoline, these pieces of shit. Matt and Nick Jackson. And they were gonna set Darby Allin on fire. And this is, as a smart fucking person, I didn't think they were gonna actually set the shit on fire. But with AEW, who fucking knows? My actual genuine surprise, we heard the crow. Thing showed up. And I didn't pop because I was like, oh shit, it's Sting off. I popped because I couldn't fucking believe he was there. I thought Sting was over. Like I thought his career was done. I thought when he said he retired, he had the last match against the Young Bucks, it was over. Um, but of course, it makes sense. The Young Bucks were gonna set his boy on fire. He comes and saves the day. I wonder how long that flight was from wherever the fuck he lives to London. Wembley Stadium was. I wonder how much money Tony Khan paid him for this one-off appearance here. That was the question that popped up in my head. But Sting saved the day. He hit Nick and Matt Jackson with a few hits with a bat, his famous black bat, and then he sent Jack Perry packing and got Darby Allin out the casket there. So shout out to Sting because who knows what the fuck would have happened to his boy had he not shown up. What were your thoughts on Sting showing up there? And if you had to guess a number amount of dollars that Tony Khan wire transferred over the week before All into Mr. Sting, what would your guess be?
I wish it was zero because I don't know why the fuck he's back. Look, no offense to Sting. I love Sting. I love the Stinger, but you had a retirement match. You look like you were done. We haven't even had you gone for fuck a couple years and you're already fucking back. Even if it was a one off, this one off would have been a lot bigger if it was a couple years. You didn't even let a couple years pass. And you already brought Sting back. Are you that fucking drowning in the water, Tony? Holy shit. Until you reminded me right now, I didn't fucking remember that shit happened. Holy yeah, they tried to burn him and fucking Sting came back. I was like, what the fuck? Bro, you haven't even been gone for that long. Why should I care that you're back? It's okay, you're saving Darby. I don't give a fuck though if you're back. That just I don't know. That's just me. Like holy shit. Like I forgot that should even happen.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me and you both.
Money wise, fuck, he had to pay him a lot of money just to get them overseas. I would imagine. I mean, it was always a big trouble getting people like Punk and fucking Brock overseas. I could imagine someone as old as Sting fucking making it hell to try to get him over there. Um, I would have to say a couple million, maybe, just to get Sting
Alien
over
is
there.
crazy.
And even at that,
Just for the one
I
off?
don't think, yeah, 100%. They give these motherfuckers millions for one offs, but I don't think it was worth it. Like I said, I think this pop was too soon. I feel like if you were gonna use the Sting pop, it should have been in a couple years when it meant something. We just saw him not long ago. It's like fuck, dude. But yeah, I was surprised that Sting came back, but I wasn't really happy about it. I wouldn't say I was mad, but I was just like fuck.
Yeah. I I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he was there. I do think that
Were you
it
excited about it? Like when he came out?
no, I wasn't excited about it. I wasn't like I said, I was like, oh shit, it's Sting. I was just like, oh my god, it's Sting. Like, didn't he fucking just have like you said, he had a retirement match. Maybe I don't even want to say it was 5 months ago. Like, I think it was right before the summer ended. It was at Forbidden Door, if I'm not mistaken. I know it took place somewhere in New York, Long Island, New
So
York.
it wasn't even a year.
So It wasn't even a year. That's why I was surprised. I was like, "Wait, like, and why retire? Why have the
Yeah.
match in the first place? Because it hasn't been that long." Like, we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? We said they're planning or there's talks about having Darby Allin win the championship.
Hmm.
Maybe have him come back then and help him out in that situation. I would be a bigger pop, but then it would take away from Allin winning the chip. That's getting way too much, whatever. But save it for something bigger than this.
Yeah.
Like, cool, you saved his life from burning up in a fucking cat gas,
They were never gonna
but
burn
I
him to
think it was too
begin with,
soon.
so it's like,
Yeah, I think it was too soon.
yeah, way too soon. It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense. Like, I thought at least he was gone a year, and even at that, it's like a year's not enough time for me to care that you're returning. It's cool, congratulations, you can still go. But if you want me to care about a return, give me that time. They didn't give us time. They were just like, hey, we need a fucking saving grace at the end of this match. Do you want to be at our biggest pay per view? And he said, fuck it, throw me a number. I don't know. This wasn't as special as I think that a lot of I guess AEW fans are trying to make it seem like.
for sure. Yeah, I think that was just a. I can see why you didn't enjoy the match. I also thought it was an okay match. My worst match of the night personally was Hook and Chris Jericho.
Uncle Jericho.
I think Chris Jericho is another one. Listen, no disrespect. You've had a successful career. You've you've done great things throughout your tenure in the world of wrestling. In the WWE, the WWF, and AEW at the beginning of it. You carried. You were a fantastic champion all throughout your time. But sometimes you gotta know to hang the shit up. And I think Jericho, it's time for you to hang this shit up. And that's okay. We can't keep going until the end of time. We get older. The body starts to fight back. And he's not listening to his body. But this fucking match, to me, was whack. We knew that he was gonna use his faction, the learning tree, to help him out, get that heel heat. And ultimately, the match ended with Taz finally getting tired of the learning tree interfering with his son, Hook. Um, he, if I am not mistaken, went into the ring and locked up Brian Keith um, in a submission move, which had the crowd going crazy. And then at the same time, Hook locked up Chris Jericho, and then he, if I'm not mistaken, knocked out, and we had a new FTW champion. The whole point of that match, it seemed like, was to get to that pop, to have Taz come over from across the announce table
Hmm.
and share that moment with his son in what is almost like a WrestleMania moment, the equivalent of a WrestleMania moment. And shout out to the both of them. That must be the sickest feeling in the world. Like doing some shit like that with your child. Like no funny shit. Like not even trying to be a jerk about it. Like that
No,
must
no,
be
no.
so cool.
Yeah.
Um, to have that moment with your son, as a former professional wrestler and watching your boy grow up in the world of professional wrestling, helping him win another championship there. Congratulations to them and having that moment. I much rather would have seen it against a much more formidable opponent than Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's annoying the fuck out of me now. His learning tree gimmick is annoying as fuck.
I told you that shit
The
months ago.
yeah, this self motivating shit is just ridiculous. But overall, I just thought the match was boring. Another like this is we keep going back and forth with this fucking pay per view. It's a lot of run-ins. We had Brian Keith and Big Bill run in help out Chris Jericho. It didn't work out in the end. We had Taz come in, run in and help out his son. So we were seeing a fucking repetitiveness here with these matches. It seems like they can't end a match without having some sort of run in. It's just some sort of interference.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time that we saw something where fuck, I can't even be sure about that. I was gonna say the last time that we saw no run interference with a clean win would be when the Japanese wrestlers were over because they don't play that shit. But fuck, maybe there was a run in with one of them too. So I don't even know. It is a pattern though that we're seeing in AEW where it's like they either they can't decide the finish or they can't think of a creative way to finish it, and they have to use these outside tactics like run-ins and pops to like finish the match, and I just don't think that's always necessary. And AEW is subject to doing that shit a lot.
1000%. Yeah, I don't know if they got producers back there. They need a team.
We got
They need
Sasha
something
back there, dude.
because it's It's the same shit every fucking time.
Yeah.
Like when Roman said, it's like missionary every
It
single night. Um, but all in all, I thought the pay per view was okay.
was okay.
I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the matches: Swerve versus Bryan Danielson, MJF versus Osprey, Ricochet's debut. Interesting to say the least. It was it was a solid one. I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars
Okay.
personally.
3 out of 5 stars.
Three out of
I'll
five.
give it 3 out of 5
How many
stars
stars
as
would you
well.
give it? Okay. But yeah, I'm happy for AEW. You know, it's sick that they get to go across the pond and have a 50,000 person venue filled up there in terms of Wembley Stadium. And then next year they'll be bringing All In to the United States for the first time in Texas. So we'll see how that plays out for them. And what's interesting about that is the reason why I think they decided to bring it to Texas is because there are rumblings WWE may be taking either WrestleMania or SummerSlam to London very, very soon. And that would make all the sense in the world. And as to why Mr. A had to bring back All into the States. And he already announced that he's gonna bring All In back in 2026. So just taking a year hiatus for whatever reason, which I'm sure we'll find out soon. What are your thoughts on WWE maybe swooping in and taking AEW spot with that major pay-per-view?
I actually didn't hear about that, so that's kind of interesting. My thought was, oh, he's not taking it back to London because it must cost a fortune just to fucking get everything there, get everyone there, put on the production. So I thought maybe doing it on home soil for a bit, getting those AEW fans that don't necessarily travel to be able to attend All In, that might be the smartest play for a couple of years. But if you're saying that it's because WWE wants to encroach on the territory, shit, WWE pay per views overseas have been killing it, and those fans have been appreciating it. That Bash of Berlin, we'll get to it in a bit, but that Bash of Berlin fucking crowd was insane. So I would imagine that they want to keep riding that high of having foreign crowds just pop. So that's crazy. I didn't ever think I'd live to see the day where WrestleMania went overseas, but that's very exciting to hear.
Yeah, I think having Vince away now from creative and from just running the operations in general, he was super against having his main pay-per-view stream at like midday on a Saturday here in the US, which is why he didn't want to do the international thing,
Hmm.
especially for WrestleMania. We've seen so much success, like you said, with the international shows as of recently. Bash in Berlin, most recent example of that, and France Backlash. Like these crowds have been fucking amazing. And no, I think if they decide to take WrestleMania 42 or SummerSlam next year to England, we're gonna get a fucking insane show and an insane outing from the fans out there. So excited to see how that plays out. But I definitely think that's the reason why AEW decided to decided to premiere All In for the first time in Texas and in the US in general.
Since we're already on the topic of WWE and Bash of Berlin, why don't we just go straight into it? Bash of Berlin finally happened. What was it, last weekend? The weekend before that? I thought this pay per view, again, another good pay per view. It just wasn't anything completely crazy or anything, which maybe now in retrospect, looking at it after All In with all the craziness that happened over here, maybe this one being a little more tame was the right call. Overall, I think this pay per view was good. Personally, on the whole show, I think I'd give it another. I would probably give it like 3.5 stars overall. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say there was a horrible match in this. My worst match of this is only picked because it was the one that I enjoyed the least, where I thought that was the least entertaining in general. But I wouldn't say it was a bad match overall. What were your thoughts on overall on Bash of Berlin?
Yeah, Bastard Berlin, I would give it 3.5. Four. Fuck that. Scratch that. I'd give it 4 Gunther chops
Ooh,
out of 5.
okay.
Um, I thought this was a very fun show. Listen, I'm a WWE fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie to everybody. You know, I love the Federation personally. I've grown up on it. I'm gonna be biased,
He said the
so
Federation.
please take it with a grain of salt when I talk about the WWE. But no, I thought the show in totality was a fun one. I would give it the 4 Gunther chops out of 5. Cody's match versus Kevin Owens, I thought that was a great way to start the show, and I do love that Cody has no problem um opening shows up. Like I understand that he's a WWE undisputed champion. In past times, someone like Vince wouldn't allow that to happen. Have your world champion open up the show. But just knowing the fact that this is Gunther returning to his neighboring home country, having his family there, having uh, Germany, Berlin, Austria there to cheer him on, and having allowing him to have that main event spot with Randy Orton was a great call on everyone's behalf. So shout out to them. I thought that was a great match. We'll get into it a little bit as well. I no, the fans, the crowd showed up for this one in particular. I thought this one was up there with the French crowd at
Hmm.
Backlash. I think those two have been my favorite in terms of the international shows. The chants, the excitement, just the overall level of volume that they brought into that arena was great to hear, and just watching it on TV across the pond, I just felt moved and touched, and that's why maybe I'm excited to see London get a WWE pay per view like a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania.
I
But overall, I thought it was a fun show. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly that that crowd decided to show up, and it's probably either equally or second to the French crowd, because the French crowd just, holy shit, you guys blew it out of the water. But Germany, you were right there with them. Like, props to you guys. On the subject of Cody curtain jerking, I was surprised. I was like, holy shit, we're having, our main champ curtain jerk. But in this scenario, I think it makes sense, right? Because Cody versus KO technically isn't a giant storyline, it's a side story in a very bigger storyline. While Gunther versus Randy on Gunther home turf makes more sense for the closer, So the order of matches probably wouldn't have been what I would have picked, but it made sense, so I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely made sense. I'm forgetting it was Cody versus Kevin Owens,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Jade. It was Bianca and Jade versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, correct?
Hold on, I have it right here. Best Brawl.
It was
Yeah.
definitely a tag match in between.
So yeah, female tag is was second,
Okay,
and then it was Livdom
okay,
versus the Twins.
okay, and then it was Punk, McIntyre, and then it was Randy Orton
Mm-hmm.
versus Gunther. I didn't think the match order was bad personally. I think I would have left it there. I think they made the right calls. If I'm booking it, I think they made the right call. That's
Okay.
just me. What would you hit switched up?
I think I would have put, if we were going with Cody versus KO as the curtain jerker, I would have probably put um CM Punk versus McIntyre next. Just because
Interesting.
you're gonna need a cooldown, and I feel like the female match was the cooldown between the four big matches, because there's what, five matches. Um,
Yeah.
so that should have always been the middle, because that's gonna be your cooldown. Because I know you've experienced that. You went to a lot of live shows in New York. At a certain point, no matter how excited you are, you kind of get a little bit of fatigue. You start kind of getting like, holy shit, I need to take a little break. I need to sit down, have a drink of water. And I feel like the female match, in this, because it is the match that I didn't care for as much as the other matches, I feel like this should have been the middle match. This should have broken up the four big matches. That's how I would have booked it.
That makes sense. I could see a world in which those are switched around. I like to keep the McIntyre match where it was, and then maybe do the Turd Twins after Cody, then do Bianca and Jade versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe you're right on that call. I can see where you're coming from, and no, I would have done that. But I do like where they put Punk and McIntyre as kind of the co-main event, like without saying it.
I think also,
Um,
as someone that kind of sees it a little bit in the production side, I would imagine that those putting up those pillars is kind of a hassle, in between matches. So maybe even have put that match first, so that way you just put them up once before the show, take them down after the match, and then you don't have to worry about it again. I feel like
That's
having
fair.
that in the middle, you have to go out there, you have to have the little break, go out there, put them up, test them, then have the match happen. Match happens, you take them down, you still need a little break. You see where like it starts getting a little bit too much. Where if you put it earlier in the show, you just put them up, take them down, and you're good for the night. So I think that's where
Yeah,
like my brain was kind of flowing and in the match flow. I'm like, why wasn't this earlier? You guys are making more work for yourselves.
yeah. No, that's totally fair. So, want to ask you, with that being said, which one was your worst match? I think you've touched upon it a little bit, but wanted to ask you straight, which one was your worst match of the, or least favorite match of this pay per view?
I'm gonna say least favorite because I don't really think it was horrible. I wouldn't say it was exciting or anything worth of note happened, but I wouldn't say that the talent in the ring was bad. I'm gonna go with the female tag match. I think Jade and Bianca winning is cool. I don't know if I would have had them win. I think Fire and Dawn deserved a little bit more time with the belts, but I understand what they're trying. They're trying to get these two um some gold while they're on TV and with all the moves going on and all this shit. But overall, the matches was kind of bland. They did their thing, and that was pretty much it. There was nothing that I could say, "Oh, this stood out" or "that stood out." Nope, you guys just won. Cool. I think that was an okay match, but for me, at the end of the day, compared to all five of those, all five of the matches during the night, this one was the worst one. Sadly, what was yours?
That's fair. I would agree that this one was probably my least favorite match of the night.
Okay.
Um, just the overall flow of this match was very strange to me. I'll get into a little bit more detail here in regards to the match in particular. The match started all off with all four women in the middle of the ring fighting each other before the bell rung. We finally get things under control, and then Bianca is the one who's tagged in, who's the legal opponent. But Bianca was in this match. If this was a 15-minute match, Bianca was in this match for 12 minutes, and it was her just getting her ass whooped the whole 12 minutes. Um, I didn't really like that. I thought that was whack to me
Okay.
because Bianca is a fantastic wrestler and she tells a great story in the ring. He is probably one of the better women wrestlers in the WWE. Um, and I understand they put her in this tag team with Jade Cargill, and I like it. Don't get me wrong. I think they can do well together. But it's been 6 months, I would say, maybe even longer, that they've been working together now, and their matches are the same every time in terms of story. Bianca starts the match. The heel, whoever Bianca's facing, her opponent, beats her up for a little bit. Bianca fights back. They continue to beat on her 2-on-1. Jade is in the corner, grabbing the little rope, asking Bianca to tag her in. She never really gets there until the last 2 minutes of the match. Then Bianca tags in Jade. Jade does the springboard clothesline off the fucking ropes. She does a little fall away slam where she throws her opponent over her shoulders onto the mat.
Don't
He
forget the
hits a
boot.
flying elbow. She hits the boot. He throws them into the corner of the into the turnbuckle and does a splash. And
Hmm.
then she does her jaded finisher. And then she flexes fucking 15 times in between that run. Um, so listen, I am getting a little tired of the same fucking shtick with Jade and Bianca, and it's not Bianca's fault because Bianca at least tries to mix some shit up when she gets in the ring. But Bianca could only get her ass whooped in so many different ways, so many fucking times. And Jade does the same move set, like literally bar for bar, word for word,
Hmm.
plagiarism every match, and it's kind of getting stale. And I want to be a fan. Like she has the look. Oh brother, she has the look. But but I can only take that so much, Like
No, that's the
I don't
same
know.
gripes that everybody. I look. I'm a Bianca stan. I've followed her for a little bit since, I would say just a little bit before AEW, and then into AEW, and now in the WWE. I'm a fan. I try to convince people that she's good, but then everybody tells me the same thing that you just told me. She has a six move set. That's all she does in the last 5 minutes of the match, and then she wins. And like you said, she flexes about 1,000 times. I get it. It's getting stale, and yeah, it's sad because these two females are good, and like you said, it's not Bianca's fault. You take Bianca away, she's gonna survive. But Jade, I don't think we've seen enough in ring action to be like, okay, she's gonna be fine. You know, I feel like we've seen, like you said, the same move set, and I don't know if that's enough to cut it.
Yeah. I don't know if that's because we know the ultimate goal of this, like this tag team run, is at some point we're gonna get the match. We're gonna get Bianca and Jade.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuck is Jade gonna do when it's her across the ring from Bianca Belair? No, honestly, what the fuck
She's gonna get
is
her
Jade
ass
gonna
whooped for
do?
10 minutes and then do her 5 moves.
And then fucking five. She's gonna do the let's go 5 times, flex a few times. Like, stop flexing. Stop fucking flexing. I'm tired of that shit. She's hitting an emote in the middle of the goddamn match. I'm getting sick and tired of it. Like do this shit when you're walking out to the ring. Like, yeah, bitch, flex 20 times. If you want
I
to
almost
when
ruined
you're
my whole
walking out to
setup pulling my fucking headphones.
like
Oh
you
shit.
can flex 15 times when you're making your way up the ramp. No
Uh,
problem with that. But don't get in the ring after watching your girl get her shit rocked for 15 minutes and then hit a flex on somebody. Like, you just watched her get her shit rocked and you didn't do anything one time. So that's just really starting to piss me off. In terms of Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, they defended the fucking titles maybe 4 times in the last 3 months, 4 months. And listen, they won the shit at Clash at the Castle. It was in Scotland, right? If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so they're
so
from
long.
Scotland. Triple H fucking said we didn't give them the titles because they're the hometown heroes. Stop fucking lying. We gave them the titles because they were the hometown heroes, and I don't have a problem with it, man. You had Drew McIntyre lose, so you had to give it to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Beautiful moment. I think one of their mothers or grandmothers had recently passed away at the time of the pay per view, so it was a heartwarming moment, and I get it. I have, all jokes aside, I understand why the decision was made. But let's not act like that's not why they fucking won the titles.
I think
They're
it's.
clearly not.
I
Go
think.
ahead.
I think it's. I'm gonna defend them in a sense and say I think they have the same deal that A Town Down did. I think A Town Down was their middleman to negotiations with talent in their home, and I think that that's because of them winning the tag belts, the female tag belts in their home. I think that was just to be the middleman for relations between talent in their home. And I think that's why
Mhm.
they put it on them. I don't think it's necessarily
Yeah.
because it was, like, oh, they're the hometown favorites or anything. I think maybe like that, I will believe Triple H in saying that he didn't do it for that reason. But don't deny that you probably did it for relationships between, other superstars that live there too. Like that's what you did with
I
A
mean,
Town Down. That's obviously what you did with Alba Fire, and because you didn't have them defend it for shit. Like you said, they defended it what, four
yeah,
times? You were
that's what
literally,
I'm
and where
saying.
were they on TV? You can't tell me they were on TV.
Exactly.
They were at home, doing the background work because they're the fucking champions. I get that, but just be honest about it.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Just be honest about it. Don't play me for no fool. That's not what I am. And yeah, you gave them the titles. Congratulations. They carried it. They did their thing, had some title defenses, one to defend it on NXT, etc., etc. It came to an end at Bash in Berlin with Jade and Bianca winning the match. So congratulations to those two women for becoming 2 times WWE Women's Tag Champions. They're on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I forget. Yeah. They only have one title for the women's tag division. So congratulations to them. I wonder who's gonna take it off them. We don't have to get into details in regards to that, but please God, do not let it be fucking the Pure Fusion Collective. Jesus Christ,
Talk about the
don't
pure.
let that shit happen.
Talk about them. I don't know if you heard, but we finally got the team that's going to be taking up that name that WWE trademarked a couple weeks ago that you had brought up that you thought was going to go to Pure Fusion Collective, but now is going to go to a tag team in, I think, NXT, if I'm correct. Do you remember their name?
Yes, it's the Fatal Influence,
There we
and they are a
go.
WWE NXT faction. Listen, let me tell you, that boy Shawn Michaels, that man is a demon, brother. I don't know where he's getting these recruits from in terms of that NXT roster. But my God, that man is on a run. But yes, the point being that
Pure Fusion Collective ain't going anywhere. The fucking name is here to
yeah,
stay.
what the fuck? What the fuck? Whoever came up with that
You
shit.
need to get
If there
fired.
was a producer, listen, I'm not one to call for another man's or woman's job, but listen, if we're getting away with Pure Fusion Collective as a fucking tag team name before anything else, someone came up with Fatal Influence and another motherfucker came up with Pure Fusion Collection. And I promise you, it's not the same fucking person that came up with those names. So someone got to move to NXT and someone got to move up to the main roster. The same way we got developmental programs for these for the talent, we're gonna have to have some developmental programs for these fucking writers. My God, that shit is still horrible to me. I much rather would have had the stud line. But anyways, that's besides the point. Hopefully it's not them taking the titles off of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, but we may live in a world where that is the case. That is the case.
Yeah, fucking
Hopefully
sadly.
we don't live in the world in
Yeah,
that
let's
world.
not do that.
But moving forward in terms of Bash in Berlin, I am curious to know which one was your favorite match of the night.
My favorite match definitely had to be Punk versus McIntyre in the strap match, only because I feel like they did this match right. We haven't seen this match in a very long time, but I think that this match was done right every chance that Punk got to, hit a light, I feel like made sense in the storytelling of the match, of the pacing. Having, McIntyre reset it from him, having CM Punk reset from him. I think it was a nice, played game of cat and mouse between both of them, and I really just enjoyed this overall. I know there was a little bit of stumble at the beginning of the match. I don't know if it was between production and Michael Cole, but you could hear Michael Cole was stressing about how, if someone stops your momentum, you all the lights get reset. I don't remember if it was like that back in the day, but if that's how they wanted to play this time, it didn't seem like that they were going for that at the beginning, or someone forgot to tell production. But eventually they got it underhand, and anytime the momentum was stopped, the lights were reset. But overall, I would say that this was the best match of the night, uh, just because it was the most entertaining one. Another match to point out would be Gunther versus Randy Orton, a good match, a classic, very just classic wrestling style match. But at the end of the day, I think I had more fun and I enjoyed watching CM Punk and McIntyre, even though it was a gimmick match, beat the shit out of each other in the strap match.
Yeah, I thought this was a very fun match as well. On second watch,
Okay.
first watch, I enjoyed it. Uh, I enjoyed the finish of this match. Like you said, it was a little strange to me because I never recalled the strap match having that stipulation where you have to touch each corner. I don't ever recall that happening. Like I remember when John Cena and I think it was Umaga had the strap match
Mm-hmm.
or the dog collar match. It was just them being tied up. Like there was no extra stipulation in terms of you have to incapacitate your opponent to the point where you have to tap
I think
the
those are
turnbuckles.
two different style matches. Because I remember
Okay.
the lights. I don't remember the rule that Michael Cole kept saying, where if you stopped a momentum, so like say you had two lights on, if you were going for that third and they pulled you back, that would be technically stopping momentum. All the
Yeah.
lights would get reset. I don't remember that rule. I do remember the lights though from the Eddie Guerrero JBL match that they had in this style. So I think the being tied up together with no lights is a different style match from this one. I think you might be confusing
Okay. No, that's fair. I might be too young to have witnessed the last fucking
the
trap match with the lights because I've never seen that shit
two.
personally.
Okay.
All in all, I would say that I thought this was a fun match. I love the way it ended with CM Punk hitting four go to sleeps
Yeah.
BTSs on McIntyre, because that made sense. That is great in match in ring storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like hitting this motherfucker four times in a row, your finisher to ensure that he's not going to get up because the stipulation is that you can't have him have a slight momentum change because that resets the lights. First of all, I think that's a little dumb and ridiculous. It would have been much easier to tap each corner and try to stop him from tapping the opposing corner all throughout the match because then you really would have had to pull on each other's strap pause. And you would have just, that would have been my idea. That's what I thought we were walking into, but I guess I was wrong.
Okay.
Regardless, I thought that was a fun way to end the match. CM Punk finally got the bracelet back as well after hitting the 4 GTSs, and we ended with that. And it left us one to one in terms of the series that they're having together. And then of course, the following Monday, we see CM Punk come out, make an interesting challenge. We thought that, well, he must have thought that his feud against McIntyre was over at that point because he immediately went out to the ring and called out Gunther. I thought that was very interesting. What are your thoughts on CM Punk calling out Gunther before, of course, we get the Drew McIntyre appearance, sending this motherfucker home in a hospital, choking him out on a gurney? But before we get into that, I want to know your thoughts on calling out Gunther.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, am I remembering it wrong? Didn't we have the bracelet rip like right after, either after the match on Monday Night Raw? But now I'm remembering the pieces. Now I'm putting it together. Drew versus, or fucking CM Punk versus Gunther. I don't know if I need to see that. If I'm being honest, I think, fuck, I don't know, because I could say that the size difference might be a little bit of an issue for me here. But we've seen CM Punk go up against Drew McIntyre, and I didn't have an issue with the size difference there. So I don't know. I don't know if I need to see these two characters fight each other. I don't know if that makes sense, but I have really no clamoring to see Gunther beat the shit out of CM Punk.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think you're tripping.
Hijo de
Um,
puta.
because I think that's going to be a hell of a match when it happens.
Huh.
This match that Punk had with Drew McIntyre at Bash in Berlin, it put me over on Punk. It did
Okay.
because I didn't really enjoy the Punk McIntyre match at SummerSlam. Like I thought it was solid, don't get me wrong, but I wanted more. It left me wanting more. And we got that more at Bash in Berlin, which I appreciated on the second watch. And I now see that CM Punk has a lot left in the tank.
Yeah.
Yes, he's getting on the older side, but man, he is one of the better in-ring storytellers as well. Like I said, like doing the 4 GTSs on Drew McIntyre, although I'm harping on it, I think like the little minute details incapacitating his opponent that for that long, he had to use those amount of finishers, like it just made perfect sense. Things of that nature, I really enjoy, and I think Gunther is a fucking mastermind when it comes to wrestling. He is the epitome of what it means to be a professional wrestler. So having these two face off against each other at some point is going to be interesting. And I think you have it happen at the place where CM Punk made his famous return almost a year ago at Survivor Series. We have, because now we know. So for the listeners who didn't get a chance to watch Monday Night Raw this week, CM Punk came out to celebrate his victory against Drew McIntyre. He held the bracelet that has his wife's name and his dog Larry, so AJ Lee and Larry on the bracelet. It's very sentimental bracelet for CM Punk because of the names that it carries or whatever. I fucking guess it's just a fucking bracelet. Anyways, he's celebrating the victory. He goes up onto the announce table to dap up Joe Tessitore, the new WWE play-by-play call announcer. He daps up was it Wade Barrett? They're celebrating, and then Drew McIntyre comes out from behind with a hoodie on, fucking drops CM Punk on the table and just starts beating this man like he's trying to kill him. Just straight murder on television. To the point where Drew McIntyre, I think, hit like 3 or 4 claymores on him. They sent all the entire security to stop him. That wasn't enough because they had to get a gurney for CM Punk. They had to take this man out in a fucking stretcher in the ambulance, and I wonder how much that ambulance fucking ran a bill. But they had to take him up to the ambulance. Before Punk got to the ambulance, this motherfucker Drew McIntyre went up there, gouged his eyes, choked him out, proceeded to beat his ass to the point where he was coughing up blood. He just left him fucking damn near dead. So now we know. We know that this feud isn't over. My next question for you is, I think we're gonna get this match at Bad Blood.
Okay.
My next question for you is, what's the stipulation? If you're booking it,
I mean, you
if
have
you're
to,
in
right?
charge of creative, what's the stipulation?
I mean, I'm just gonna go based off of what you just said. them being inside of an ambulance, I think this has to be an ambulance match. I think one of these two needs to be put in a stretcher and put into the ambulance to be declared the winner. And I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I think McIntyre should win this. I think McIntyre, out of the three matches, I think McIntyre should come out on top in the whole feud.
I definitely do think McIntyre has to win. Well, I guess he wouldn't be winning if the goal is to have Punk go up against Gunther.
But
I guess
that got interfered though, so that might have just been a red herring to get us to think, hey, this feud's over, and then McIntyre coming back to doing that is kind of like the sign to tell us it ain't over yet. Let's not move on just yet, you know.
yeah, for sure. But I think we're gonna get to Punk and Gunther, and I
I don't
think
see where it. Look, I like both of them. I like Gunther. I like CM Punk. I just don't see where would this feud come from? What would the turmoil be? Is it just going to be a hey, I respect you, you respect me, let's fight? I don't think so because Gunther's kind of an
no
asshole. So like, what would the thing be? Would it just be Gunther calling
a
him a fucking
championship.
uh a poverty boy the whole time, just like he did with
Nah,
Priest? Like, I don't understand
no,
where we would. Maybe you have an idea of how this starts, but I
yeah,
just don't see it.
I got an idea.
Okay, well, fucking
I
tell me
got
your
an idea.
idea.
It's just Punk chasing the title. It's Punk
But you
chasing the
just
title.
said he doesn't need a title, so why are we putting a
I
title
know, but
on
it's
him?
Punk. But he's not gonna get the title. I'm not saying he's gonna win, but the story there is Punk chasing the title. He came back to the WWE for a few reasons:
Hmm.
to make money, not friends;
Yeah, I
to
love
main
that
event
line.
WrestleMania; to main event WrestleMania,
Okay,
and win more gold.
okay.
And I think you don't need necessarily a story, like some crazy story between the two. Punk is a goal getter. He's a goal setter.
Okay.
He wants gold. He feels like he wants some gold on around his shoulder. He's gonna go against the dude who's on his brand, Gunther,
Hmm.
for that championship. And I think that's just the story you have to tell. And there's the underlying factor that Punk came back last year at Survivor Series,
Hmm.
and you have him get his first championship match at Survivor Series again.
Hmm.
Um, and you have him lose. Gunther's not losing this shit anytime soon.
No,
I'll tell you that shit right
hopefully
now. He's
not.
not losing this shit. So we have Punk lose, and we move forward. I don't give a fuck what happens after, but I think that's the story. In terms of stipulation, I think it's gonna be. I would love to see it in the Hell in a Cell.
Okay,
I would also not mind the steel cage.
okay,
One of those two.
okay. Yeah,
That's that that I.
trap him in, no
Mhm.
fuckery. I agree with that.
Yeah. So hopefully we get that.
I still
We
th-
went on a fucking tangent there.
I still think
Go ahead. Sorry.
I still think that just because of the whole he put Punk in an ambulance, I think it would be fun for them to do an ambulance match. I feel like we haven't had one in a hot minute. I could be wrong about that, but I think them two would make that match fun. So
Yeah.
I want to say
Good point.
let's do it, but I wouldn't be mad at a cage match either, just because it eliminates that aspect of fuckery that I really don't need with this match. I want this feud to finally come to an end, even if it doesn't come to an end. If this leads it on, I just still want this set of three matches to come down clean, and I think putting them in a cage like that would make it clean. So I agree. I like your idea for them to be locked in.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Hmm.
It's gonna happen at Bad Blood. It may be the main event. I'm looking forward to it. I think they've done a really great job of uh
You think it's
keeping
gonna
this
be the
feud
main
hot.
event, even with Cody doing the promo for Bad Blood?
Ooh, that's a good. I just don't know who Cody's gonna face because he's not gonna face Solo.
Isn't that
He's facing Solo.
this week, huh?
Nope.
That's this
Yeah,
week.
he's facing Solo on the season premiere of
Oh,
Friday Night SmackDown on the USA Network.
huh. That is
Haven't
interesting.
heard,
I don't know.
but I don't know who he's gonna face after this. I guess we'll find out where the story between Cody and whoever his next opponent is leads into after this week.
Uh,
But I can see CM Punk and Drew McIntyre main eventing the show. But you're right though. Cody has been the poster boy of Bad Blood. It is his hometown. Fuck, you're right. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Cody's gonna main event this. Cody's gonna main event this show.
By the
He is
way,
from Atlanta. I
I
forget.
have been liking the promos they've been doing it for it, and I like that in the most recent one. I think Metro was like, "Yo, we've been out here for 4 weeks or for 4 months." It's funny that they're continuing like that joke that we had at the beginning when everyone saw that promo. They're like, "Are they just gonna stake the place out the whole time?" Like Bad Bloods are not for months. So I think them playing on that joke was kind of funny. So I have appreciated the promos for Bad Blood
Yeah, and I think it's sick that Metro Boomin
in his
is
hometown too.
in his hometown as well. So maybe we get if we got fucking Jelly Roll at fucking SummerSlam, I better get Metro Boomin and Future perform at Bad Blood.
Oh, you're asking too
I
much of
fucking
Future.
better. No, 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 no. I better because what the fuck? If we could get Jelly Roll for
You
those fans, I want Future for our fans.
you
Damn
can't
it.
keep Future in that backstage, dude. What are you talking about? You cannot let that man let free in backstage with all those divas, dude. Ain't no way.
I mean, hey man, as long as I get a Future song out there, I don't care. But
You're gonna
anyways,
bench fucking Tiffany Stratton for fucking 9 months, dude. If you let Future back there.
I guess so. I we just might. But I'm looking forward to seeing who Cody's gonna face in that main event in at Bad Blood. But we'll have to wait and see. It will not be Solo Sokoa. I will put money that it will not be Solo Sokoa.
So the last pay per view that we want to cover before we head out, is not the one that happened last night, and I personally will explain why not about that after this one, but it will be the one that we are going to talk about is No Mercy. NXT No Mercy happened well this past weekend, right?
Last weekend,
Last
yes.
weekend. Sorry, I'm a little confused on the dates. I thought No Mercy was sick. I thoroughly enjoyed this pay per view. I think NXT is doing good work down there right now. The worst match again for this night wasn't necessarily that it was a terrible match. It just was the match that I cared about the least. I found it a little bit flat, but the performance in the ring was still decent. So I wouldn't call it a bad match. Overall, for No Mercy, I think I'm going with another 4 overall. So I'll give it 4 Oba Femis out of 5. But overall, yeah, I think NXT is heading in a great direction right now. I think they have a lot of superstars that they're honing in and allowing to flourish, and I'm very excited about that prospect. What did you give the whole PLE of No Mercy?
Yeah. I think I'd give the PLE maybe 3 Obafemis over out of 5.
Okay.
I thought it was a solid. I thought it was solid. Then this was the first time Denver had gotten a premium live event or a pay per view in a very very long time, so the crowd was very ecstatic. I thought they had probably the best surprise of the past few WWE pay per views in totality, with Julia making her appearance.
Mm-hmm.
That was sick. Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker. That match, I thought that was a fun match. I would say I'm not a fan. I know this has been a lot of talk and speculation online in terms of her finisher, Jada Parker's finisher, where she like runs the ropes and hits you with her ass,
Mm-hmm.
and that's her finisher. Like, I get it. She got a fat ass, right? Like, I get it, but that can't be a finisher. That's just my opinion.
It's funny
Like,
that you
have her do
say
something
that though,
else.
because we were watching it, and my buddy that was watching it with me said the exact same thing. He's like, "Really? That's her finisher?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I guess."
like have her maybe do a leg drop, but like it's literally just the run of the ropes, and then she hits you with her hip, but it's supposed to be her ass on the side of your head, and that's her finisher. I don't even know what the finisher is called. So I hope they come up with a better finisher for that. But she surprisingly had a fantastic outing
Mm-hmm.
in a championship match with Roxanne Perez. Roxanne has carried this title so well over the last few months. Any time she has a title defense, it's always a strong match. She's great. I can't wait for her to go up to the main roster. Like when off of first glance, she is shorter, smaller than the majority of women in the WWE. Her stature is just that is that she's smaller, and that's totally okay. That means she's like an underdog. Um, very similar to like a Carmelo Hayes. And I know Shawn Michaels back in the day, they had the whole thing of like Shawn is just a little bit smaller than the top guys, but he was so great in the ring that it didn't fucking matter. And I think she is in like that category where she's so great in the ring that her size and her stature doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a really fun match. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite of the night. Overall, I'd give it 3 out of 5 Obafemis. That's where I'm at with it. But what was your best match of the night there?
I mean, I think I was surprised by my best match of the night just because I was looking forward to this match a lot, but I didn't think it was going to be my favorite one of the night, and that would have to be Obafemi versus the Don. I love both of these guys, and both of these guys went out there and showed the fuck out. I definitely think that the Don might be the one that inevitably succeeds the throne from Obafemi for the NXT in general, and I'm not mad at that because he has been putting in the work backstage and in the ring to be that prominent person that you just know from NXT. So seeing them go head to head in this match, you put me on Obafemi, and since then I haven't fell off. And the Don, like I said, he's just been so prominent that you can't do anything but fall in love with this character and follow his story because he was a fighting champion when he had, even though it wasn't like a belt, he still had that Heritage Cup. He went out there and he challenged people. He gave people a chance, and that's something I want to see once he gets his hands on an NXT belt. And like I said, if that NXT belt is the one that he's gonna take from Oba, then shit, I'm all for it. How about you?
Yeah, I thought that was a fun match. I love Obafemi. I think the Don is also another great in ring performer. He wrestles really well. Oba's a fucking beast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who is gonna take the title off this man because he is so much bigger and stronger than the next man on that roster. It's just like you need to call in that boy Brock Lesnar, and something gotta happen. I don't know if you gotta call in Omos, whatever, however the fuck you pronounce his name. You gotta call in Brock. He already beat why am I forgetting Alpha Academy? Oh, he already beat Otis
Okay.
in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing Oba, defend this title on Tuesday nights at pay-per-views. He doesn't miss a beat. He's a fucking beast. So I love Oba. In terms of my favorite match of the night, I thoroughly enjoyed Wesley versus Zach Wentz.
Oh.
I have never seen Zach Wentz really wrestle. I know he's a TNA wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a part of the faction, the Rascals, with Wesley, Zach Wentz, and the other guy. I'm not sure of his name. I do apologize. But this was a really fun fucking match. The whole story between Wesley being the WWE superstar, telling Zach Wentz, "You're just a TNA guy." Also, that's disrespectful. Um, and just saying that he's like, "I'm just better than you." And Wesley was whipping this dude's ass for the majority of the match. The way the match ended was with Wesley was gonna like almost murder this guy. He had placed him in a position, I think, on the steel steps, and he was gonna hit his skull with the steel chair. And right when he was gonna swing the chair, Zach Wentz's tag partner came from the stands, grabbed the chair, distracted Wesley, gave Zach Wentz the opportunity to hit his finisher on Wesley in the middle of the ring, and Zach Wentz won. But this was a fun, high flying match. A lot of great spots, a lot of good wrestling. If you didn't get a chance to watch this match in particular, Wesley versus Zach Wentz, this was a really fun, exciting match. And then I thought they told a great story. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Wesley is fantastic. I don't know if he's gonna get the main roster call up anytime soon. But he was also the former North American champion. I thought he carried it well.
Mm.
So watching him continue the run that he's on without a belt is exciting. Shawn Michaels cooked with this feud. I think it was also a great way to give a TNA wrestler some shine here. Have Zach Wentz go over in this match, which I didn't think was going to happen. So seeing Wesley actually lose this match was interesting to me. Having that TNA wrestler go over, and I guess they had to have a TNA wrestler go over because your boy Joe Hendry didn't go over in the main event there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure a
So
lot of people are surprised that that wasn't my best match, by the way. But it was a good match. But yeah, my boy did not go over.
yeah, had he won, that probably would have been your favorite match of the night for
Maybe.
sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh, But yeah, I thought that was a fun match. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, check that out. Wesley versus Zach Wentz. But going back to Roxanne Perez and Jada Parker really quickly, just wanted to ask you when the match was over, we finally saw and got the debut of Julia in the WWE on NXT. What were your thoughts on Julia finally making her appearance? We know we've been anticipating her since we've got the announcement that she signed a contract with the WWE. She comes all the way from Japan as a former New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Champion, if I am not mistaken. Um, yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on how your opinion on how they presented Julia and her coming to face with Roxanne Perez, staring down for the title there.
I mean, I'm excited. I love Julia. I think she was phenomenal overseas, and I'm excited to see what she can do over here because, of course, any overseas wrestler needs to go through the WWE training camp of how they wrestle. So it'll be interesting to see her adapt. If they're even doing that now, maybe they're not doing that. Maybe they're allowing them to wrestle the way that they do, which honestly would be a little bit risky just because they do hit a lot harder. I don't know if the females down here can take it, but hyped on Julia. I know she popped again on NXT to I think she attacked Roxanne. No, she attacked Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green.
Yep, Chelsea Green.
In order to set up the match for next week. I think this is a great way of showcasing her. It's you and me had talked about it earlier. I think it's what they should have probably done with Mariah May is feed this person that they want to build up some notable names, and I think Chelsea Green is a perfect person to feed into Julia because we all know that she won't win, but we're not mad that she won't win because that's her gimmick. Her gimmick is being, the goofy loser. So I'm excited to see what she does next week in the ring. But overall, very excited that Julia is finally in. I said this before and I'll say it again. The one person that's going to take that belt off of Roxanne will be Julia because I do not see any other talent down there that can cleanly take that belt off and that it'll be believable. At least not now. We have a lot of talent that's coming up, but right now, I just don't see anyone taking that belt off of Roxanne except for Julia. What are your thoughts on Julia coming in?
Yeah, I was excited to see her make her appearance after the Roxanne and Jada Parker match. I thought they presented her pretty pretty in a pretty cool fashion in terms of she came out to they turn off the lights, hit her music. Um they gave her the smoke treatment, so she comes out to smoky dark styled entrance.
Mm-hmm.
The spotlight was only on her, and and she immediately just had the face to face with Roxanne Perez, and she made it clear that she's coming for that NXT Women's Championship. So like you said, this last Tuesday following the pay per view on NXT, we were all waiting for Julia to make her appearance again to see what she was going to say, how she was going to start her official NXT career. And we start with Roxanne cutting a promo talking about how she's the best, etc. And then we hear a pop, but it wasn't Julia, it was Chelsea Green, hilariously. And Chelsea Green just comes out and says that she wants a championship opportunity and that the fans thought that they were going to get Julia. And that's when Julia actually pops. She comes out, she hits uh Chelsea Green with a crazy knee kick that it looked like knocking her to the floor, and then she turned her attention again to Roxanne Perez. They had that face to face. So that sets up the match between Chelsea and Julia this upcoming Tuesday on WWE NXT. Like you said, I think it's going to be great to, to feed Julia Chelsea Green, give her someone who has a notable name and not just a random fuck from NXT. No disrespect to the women on NXT roster, but they don't have, the name value, the name stake that a Chelsea Green has. So having Chelsea come down to the NXT roster into the show, having her go up against Julia to get her comfortable with the American style television and wrestling first, I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then they already announced that we're gonna get Julia and Roxanne Perez when NXT moves to the CW. So they're already setting up these matches. They're already setting up the new TV network that they're gonna be moving to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all in all, they've done a great job of showcasing Julia so far, and I'm excited to see the story that they tell with her in the ring. Do you think if you are Shawn Michaels and you're booking this, You have Julia win the first match against Roxanne Perez when they go up for the belt.
So, a little bit of interesting information here. Back when she got signed, I don't know if you heard, but she had broken a lot of protocol. She canceled a lot of dates that she had already promised, with the prospect that WWE would allow her to pop on TV sooner. That was the original plan, was for Julia to pop after that takeover that we saw her on, and she was gonna instantly win the belt off of Roxanne. Now, she got hurt. She got hurt overseas when she was doing one of the fulfilled or one of the events that she was supposed to fulfill that she wasn't originally. She got hurt, and that's why she was pushed back. Her reveal was pushed back a little bit, um, to be joining NXT. Now with everything given, I don't know if we put the belt right on her. I would say that maybe that's still the plan, is to instantly put the belt on her, but I don't know, dude. I don't know, with everything that's happened with her suffering the injury. I don't know if we put the belt on her right away. I feel like it would have worked back then because it was what Triple H wanted, and I feel like the shock factor of someone new coming in and just wrecking ass would have been cool. But I don't. We've given it so much time. I don't think that you get that cool pop anymore. So I don't think we put the belt on her right away.
Yeah, I. It's tough because Roxanne has carried this belt so well, and having her lose to the new woman in town would be interesting to say the least. But fuck it, I think you put the belt on Julia.
Yeah.
You have her beat Roxanne Perez at the CW premiere to end the show with a bang, start the new season with a new champion, and you just put Brown on the hottest ticket on that roster at the moment.
I mean,
That's just my
honestly, I
opinion.
want you to think about it. Give me one good female that you think can take that belt from Roxanne, because she hasn't lost it. We put her up against the ringer. We put her up against almost everybody, and no one's been able to pull the trigger on her. So who do you realistically think can do that? Because she's been there, they've had the time to do it, and they still haven't done it. So who, in your opinion, if anyone, is ready to take that belt that we have already signed off of Roxanne?
Yeah, it would have to be Julia because there's nobody on the roster at the moment.
Exactly. And no offense
Um,
to them. I know you said like
yeah,
don't put her up against a whole no name, even though there's, a bunch of talent on NXT. There is a bunch of talent, but a lot of those people we don't know. A lot of those people, sadly, are no names to us because they don't put them out on TV as much as they should. So why would we be mad if an outside source comes in who we know can wrestle, who we know has had championships? We wouldn't necessarily be mad if we put the belt on her. It makes, like you said, it makes the most sense. There's no one right now in NXT that can believably take off the belt, but the woman that can has just arrived.
exactly. But do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that there are a few more NXT signings that will be making their appearance soon. We have no details on when they're going to be making it, but do not forget, in terms of the women's roster, it's not done being constructed. This new women's roster on NXT is continuing to get better and stronger, and they've recently signed, to our knowledge, Stephanie Vaquer and Delta. I'm not familiar with Delta. You might be, but she has a menacing look, similar to Jordiana Grace on TNA. Menacing look. She's very believable in terms of like the wrestling appearance from what I've seen. I haven't seen her wrestle yet, but just her appearance, I think she's has that menacing demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
So interested to see how they present her. But Stephanie Vaquer is also another one who we've seen recently go up against Mercedes Monet at that AEW pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, if I'm not mistaken. She's another strong women's wrestler, coming from, I forget which country she's coming from, but some Latin American country. Fuck, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Stephanie.
But yes.
Fuck, is it Venezuela? I think it's Venezuela.
Yes, it is Venezuela. It is Venezuela. Thank you. So she is coming from down there. She was in MLX.
But
She
isn't
was the women's champion for a bit.
I might have gotten this information wrong, but I think the way that I interpreted it when they were talking about her is that she's only going to be wrestling in the Mexican side of WWE. Like, I guess they have like a live show circuit over there or some shit. And from what I know,
Nah,
hers was only supposed to be like on the Latin American circuit. I didn't ever hear her actually gonna be making a move to the main roster. I could be wrong, but at the beginning, that's how they were talking about
no, I think you may have just gotten it confused because she made an appearance at
it. Okay.
during the live events in Mexico that they held last month, and she hasn't been on TV since. She did wrestle at that event. She actually wrestled against Isla Dawn.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and she just did that one off. She literally got signed that week, performed that weekend, and has been away from WWE ever since. I think they're figuring out some visa issues with her,
Okay.
which is why she hasn't made her appearance yet. So I'm
Okay.
sure they'll figure that stuff out soon, and then she'll come over on NXT. I think that's where she's starting as well because of the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So getting her comfortable with American television and things of that nature. But I think those two other women, let's not forget about them. Interested to see maybe similarly to how Julia challenged Roxanne Perez immediately, maybe we get a Stephanie Vaquer interference and appearance at the CW season premiere of WWE NXT during that championship match between Roxanne Perez and Julia. Just an idea, because maybe we protect Roxanne's title reign though so far,
Yeah.
just an idea. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. It's actually very exciting because it makes me want to pay closer attention to NXT again.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting back to that takeover, that WWE NXT takeover style of NXT where I'm almost like shit, I gotta tune in. So excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of hot like outside talent down in NXT, so it's definitely an exciting time to start watching NXT again.
Definitely.
Did we talk about our worst match for No Mercy?
Uh, you did.
Okay.
You said Wendy Chu and
Versus Kaylani. So, like,
versus
I'll
Kaylani.
just reiterate it again. This wasn't like a horrible match. It just was kind of boring to me. There wasn't really much going on. The talent is there. I think Kaylani Jordan is very talented. Wendy Chu kind of didn't do it for me, but that might just be because you had told me that she wasn't really that great. So I kind of went in with the expectation of she wasn't that great. She didn't really do it for me though at the end. So I'm gonna say I'm not hot on Wendy Chu for now, but Kaylani definitely has the talent to keep holding that belt. But overall, in the the perspective of everything that happened throughout the night, all the matches that went down, I think that this was probably the worst one.
Yeah.
What was your worst
I
match? Sorry.
No worries. I think I'd give you that one. I'd tie it up. I'd say probably Wendy Chu, Kaylani Jordan. I've seen Wendy Chu wrestle live. He has a little baby gimmick. I'm just not a fan of the gimmick. I think the gimmick
Okay.
is a little too ridiculous out there. She's supposed to be like a baby, if I'm not mistaken. She literally came out with a pacifier and a
I
baby
don't
bottle, and
get
I
it.
just
I
was
don't know
not.
if it's sleepover or if it's a
It's
baby.
it's fucking horrible, is what it is. Fucking give her a real gimmick, please, man.
For real though.
I don't think she's bad. Like I'm sure she's a solid wrestler, but the gimmick is I just can't take her seriously. So I would have to agree with you there.
Okay. Um.
Uh,
Yeah. Go on.
yeah, no, I would have to agree with you there for sure. But no, I thought all in all, No Mercy was a solid show, and I think Julia was the highlight of the night. And we're looking forward to seeing what we have in store in terms of NXT moving forward. And just to cap off tonight's episode of the Word Around the Ring podcast, I have a few topics that we haven't covered yet, just some hot topics in terms of what's going on in the WWE and the world of wrestling that I wanted to ask you about and get your thoughts on.
Okay. Yeah. Go shoot.
So following Gunther and Randy Orton's match
Mm-hmm.
at Bash in Berlin, and we didn't talk about this match actually, so now it's a great time to touch on it a little. I thought Gunther and Randy Orton had a battle of giants. That's how I would put it. A battle of two giants.
Okay.
I my friend Will and I, my one of my best friends. He's a big fucking Gunther. He's actually the one that motivated me and pushed me to be a stronger Gunther fan than I already was. Super huge Walter fan. My friend is there, and he's appreciated the Ludwig Kaiser entrance that he does for Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that shit. I think it's
That's
fucking
great.
great.
That's great.
So when we were talking about Bash in Berlin, I told him we were talking about it. We were like, wow, Ludwig's gonna go out and do the intro. He's gonna do it in German.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Gunther had came out and I didn't see Ludwig, I was so disappointed. I was like, no, they didn't give him the fucking chance to the entrance. I was pissed. I was fucking pissed
Uh-huh.
watching it live. And then we see Randy Orton walk out. We see Gunther walk out. They meet in the middle of the ring. Uh, Samantha Irvin introduces Randy Orton. Right when Samantha is going to introduce Gunther, we see Ludwig's hand come into the camera frame asking for the mic, and the crowd popped. And this was probably my biggest pop of like the last 3 weeks. Like, I could give a fuck about Sting. I could give a fuck about Julia. But this shit right here,
Yeah.
this shit was like crack in the 80s. When Ludwig put his hand out and he got the mic and he introduced Gunther in German. Oh, dude, that was fucking sick. I love that. I love that for Ludwig. I love that for Gunther. Like, just imagine their story is so dope. These two guys grew up together in the German wrestling circuit from like a very fucking young age. And we've seen Gunther. He was a very like heavy set wrestler. To see his growth and like how he's transformed his body, how he's become the, one of the top guys on the WWE roster, carrying this championship belt. Like, see them two as best friends, like make it out and like have that moment. That must be very similar to Taz and Hook. You know, that must be so dope. So watching that live was sick. I really enjoyed that match in and of itself. Getting to the match, I thought it was a really fun match between Randy Orton and Gunther. Randy, to my surprise, Gunther got his ass whipped for the majority of this match. I had a problem with because I think Gunther should have, you know, um,
Dominated.
had not dominated, but I just felt like Randy Orton dominated versus Gunther dominated.
Okay.
I think it should have been like 50-50,
Mm-hmm.
but the Gunther sold the arm injury well. That's one thing I love about Gunther. Like, he tells a great story in ring.
Yeah.
Throughout the match, I think he first got his shoulder hurt when Randy threw him into the into the steel steps. And ever since then, like, there were spots where he tried to pick up Randy for a power bomb, but he didn't have the arm strength for it, and he was just getting his shit rocked. Randy had put him through the announce table a few times, RKO'd him, etc. Just a fucking battle between two giants. Ultimately, the match ended with Gunther uh, putting Randy Orton in like a sleeper hold for like 4 minutes. Randy kept breaking out, but Gunther wasn't letting go. Finally knocked his ass out, put him to sleep, and Randy didn't even get the tap. It was just because Gunther had knocked him out. But then the match ended. When the match ended, to my surprise, we saw Randy Orton and Gunther actually shake hands in the middle of the ring. I thought that was sick, but I would have loved the Randy Orton heel turn there. Having Randy reach out to take his hand, RKO that motherfucker in front of his in front of his neighboring home country, that would have been a fucking great heel turn. That's just me. Just me. Um, that's what I would have done. I may have been doing a lot there, but of course, you weren't gonna do that to Gunther's finish. He had a great match, etc. But want to hear your thoughts on that before I ask you about Gunther's next chapter.
Yes, I touched about on the match a little bit earlier. I think this was a great match. It was a very classic wrestling match. Both of these two talents are great. Randy Orton's an absolute legend, and I would say that Gunther's on pace to becoming an absolute legend himself. Um, them hugging at the end, I think that was more of a show of respect in between themselves for the sloppy finish the first time. So even though I agree, I think a heel turn there would have been fucking perfect. I think that they went with the right decision of just showing that mutual respect between two great competitors that finally got to do it their way and not let an outside perspective kind of ruin that. But I want to more focus on Ludwig because I've been hot on Ludwig for a long time. I've been a Ludwig stan for a while because I just think he has that great henchman look, that demeanor of carrying himself around, knowing that no one can touch him because he is part of Gunther's camp. So I was disappointed as well when he didn't come out at the beginning. I was like, "Fuck, dude, really? We're not gonna have any Ludwig?" But like you said, we saw that arm reach out. I feel like everybody and their moms popped in that fucking building. I popped at home. I was like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna get this sick ass fucking intro from Ludwig," and that's what it was. It literally was the perfect crowning piece on the entrance for Gunther, was having Ludwig come out there and just hype him the fuck up. That moment was sick. The match was good. I have no problems with the match. I have no problems with anyone that was involved with this match. They're all genuine stars, and I want to see a lot more of them, not necessarily in matches against each other, but just more of them in general on TV, because these are the people that are going to carry your brand.
Definitely. No, super excited and glad we got to see Ludwig have that shining moment. And he also got to have his moment up against LA Knight on the Go Home show to Bash in Berlin, the Friday Night SmackDown, prior to uh, Bash in Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
having him go up against LA Knight for the United States Championship belt in the open challenge there was fun. The crowd was confused. They didn't know whether to cheer for LA Knight, whether to cheer for Ludwig Kaiser. Ultimately, LA Knight did beat him, but just having him get that championship opportunity was fun in front of his home country there. But the reason why I bring up Gunther is because the following Monday night, we see Gunther come out, cut his promo, talk about how he just beat Randy Orton, and then we get an interesting music pop, none other than the last man to beat Gunther at WrestleMania and to actually beat Gunther in the WWE, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's music popped and interrupted Gunther in the middle of his promo there. And Gunther uttered the words, "Are you fucking serious?" And I thought he genuinely meant that shit. I was like, oh, nah, that brother was surprised. They're sending Sami Zayn out to challenge him again. What the fuck was that about? I want to know your thoughts on that. And what do you think Gunther's going to ultimately accept Sami Zayn's challenge there to for a title shot at the World Heavyweight Championship? And what are your just thoughts in general on Sami Zayn being the next potential challenger for Gunther?
I mean, I thought we were already past. I mean, I guess it's a different belt, but I thought we were past Sammy and Gunther. To see Sammy and Gunther again, I don't know if I necessarily need it. I felt like we had finally opened up Sami Zayn so he can go and take part in all this bloodline stuff. I know that that's not officially set in. We haven't really got that storyline going yet, but I thought we were going to keep him free for this. If we're going to feed him to Gunther, I don't know where that leaves him for that. I don't know if we're actually going to get a classic bloodline with Sammy, or if this is the perspective that they're taking him. If we're going Sammy versus Gunther for the belt, if this is actually going to happen, I don't see Sammy winning. I see Gunther retaining the championship for a while. So I have no idea where this came from. Like, I don't. I just, like, I understand they feuded before, but why are we doing this again? Uh, I know it's for a different belt, but we don't need it as soon as we're getting it, since we just left that like not too long ago. What was it, like maybe a year ago? And now we're back at it. I don't know if I need this again.
Yeah, April 2024. So about 5, 6 months ago was the last time we saw these two compete against each other. It makes sense. Like I Sammy cut the promo. His promo was, listen, I beat you for the Intercontinental Championship. People like Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, they all use the even yourself, they all use the Intercontinental Championship as a catalyst to get to the World Heavyweight Championship. And that is what I want to do. And I am challenging you, Gunther. Ultimately, Gunther said, fuck no, I'm not giving you a title match. You haven't earned it. You literally, the last match you had, you literally fucking lost. So why the fuck would I give you a shot? Perfect fucking sense from Gunther.
Yeah.
But all in all, we're gonna see this match again. We're probably gonna see it at Bad Blood. Um, of course, Gunther's gonna whip his ass, wipe the floor with this guy,
Yeah, let him
and
know.
his ass packing. Uh, I don't see Gunther losing. Anytime soon. There is an interesting choice here. There is a problem that I am facing as a fan of what I think, who I think is the greatest wrestler of all time, John Cena. John Cena needs something to do. John Cena needs an opportunity at WWE at another WWE World Heavyweight Championship. WrestleMania 41 is in Las Vegas. We've already and we know he has already announced that he will be the 2025 Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
He will be at the 2025 Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have John Cena win either of those matches on and face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship? He is a formidable foe to a Gunther. It would be like Rocky 4, Ivan Drago versus Rocky Balboa, the man who refuses to die. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I got one question. In this scenario, is John Cena winning the belt? Is he winning, like, not against him, but is he winning the belt in this final farewell tour to beat the record?
I think he has to. I think he has to. You
I don't know. Look, I love John Cena, and you're gonna hate for what I'm about to say. I don't think he does. I don't think he really needs to break that record, because then that kind of, that's the pinnacle point. Everyone's gonna be talking about how, oh well, he's the longest reigning champion. I think John Cena in himself probably values his career being seen as what he was, and not the moment of winning or breaking the record. So I personally, I don't think he. I would say that he's not going to win in this final fell run. He's not going to win. But I do. If you want, give us like maybe like a match where it might seem like he's going to win. I think Gunther might be a perfect pick to do that. Whether I have him win a Money in the Bank or a Royal Rumble, I don't know if you need to do that. I feel like it would make sense, because then you'd give him an easy way into the title shot, but you can give that to someone else and create another storyline. And you can just hand John Cena that title shot. So I don't know if you waste a pay per view MacGuffin like a Money in the Bank or a Royal Rumble in order to give him that shot. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think you're wrong. I
Okay.
think you're wrong because of this reason. I agree with everything you've said, minus the part where you say you don't think he wins. I don't think he's gonna win on the first round. Listen, he's not gonna come out and fucking win the first time he goes up against Gunther. No, 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 no. I think he should get his shit rocked.
Okay.
I think he needs to go through this story of failing over and over again before finally catching a glimpse of hope. I think he enters the Royal Rumble. I think he loses the Royal Rumble. I think he very similar to CM Punk. He gets eliminated second to last, third to last, close to the end. He enters Elimination Chamber. He may win that one. He just might win that one.
Okay.
Only because he needs to get to the WrestleMania match. Like, and the thing is, Cena hasn't won a pay-per-view match or a TV match in years. So we can't have him come out and win the first Royal Rumble match. It's not
Oh, that
believable.
makes sense.
It wouldn't make the slightest of sense. So I agree with you there. I'm not asking for you guys to stop what you're doing and put Cena over. As a Cena fan, the motherfucker has to lose 2 or 3 more times in a believable sense just to get the crowd going. You got to get the people going. It's provocative. And and then you finally give him a glimpse of hope. Gunther is the ultimate Cena opponent. Like, when you think about fucking Cena rivalries, think about Cena versus The Rock, losing his first match against the first WrestleMania match against The Rock. It made the second match that much sweeter. Uh, Up against Umaga, up against ABL. Like, these are rivalries of formidable foes, and Gunther is that kind of formidable foe for a John Cena as character. You have him lose at WrestleMania 41. Book the loss. Book Gunther beating him at WrestleMania 41. Have Cena beat him at like a SummerSlam or something. Just give him that title belt one more time. The reason I'm asking for it, the reason why I want it to happen, is because we're going with the sports approach with the WWE, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
doing the TKO merger, the UFC merger. We're going with the sports approach. And what is the most important thing when it comes to sports? Championship. That is the number one argumentative factor that everyone brings up when you're talking about LeBron versus Jordan, when you're talking about Kobe versus Jordan, when you're talking about Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, etc. Like the Tom Brady of the world, the Wayne Gretzky's of the world, etc. Like, people bring up how many championships you won. People say LeBron's not the greatest basketball player of all time, which I would disagree with because he doesn't have 6 championships like Michael Jordan. People say Kobe's not the greatest because he doesn't have 5 championships. Doesn't have 6 championships as Michael Jordan did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why even leave that argument in the air? If you're gonna go out and you're gonna proclaim him on live television every time he comes out, you're gonna call him the GOAT. You're gonna call him the greatest of all time. If you're going to do that, if you're going to say those words, then you have to give him the accolades that would match up with that sentiment. That's just how I feel. I know when I'm being biased. I'm a John Cena fan, but I do think that he should lose the first couple of matches, and there needs to be a buildup, like Rocky, just like the Rocky movies. Just take the goddamn Rocky movies and put it in the
Well, I mean,
WWE.
that's what I was gonna
Mm.
compare it to when you were talking about these two. I was like, the easiest way to put it is, well, this is Rocky versus Drago. This is the new kid with all the new bells and whistles, with all the new training tricks, coming to take out the old guard. And like you said, I think personally that he's not going to win as much as we think he's going to win. I think he's going to be doing half duty. He's going to be getting his big wins in the matches that he wants to win, and I think he's going to be putting over people on the other half. He's going to lose to these people, like you said. He doesn't. Maybe if we have the time to set up a feud between Gunther and John Cena, because that is the problem here is time. Um, that's what you want to do. You want to build Gunther up so you have him kick John Cena's ass the first times, like you said, and then inevitably John Cena wins. And who takes it off of him? Who the fuck knows? I don't know at that point because you're gonna have to entrust that belt with someone to someone else that will take it um and run in the company past him. Like I said, I don't know if you actually need to give him that accolade of being the most reigned champion. I understand what you're saying, where you're like, don't give anyone doubt. Cool. I'll sit with you on that one. I'll be like, let's give him the championship. Let's not give anyone a benefit of the doubt. I just don't think that needs to be done. But if it is done, shit, I'm a John Cena fan too, so I'd pop as well as you would. So in that world, like I said, I would be excited if he would get a shot, but I just don't think he needs to. But I do agree that if they do get a feud between Gunther and John Cena, Gunther comes on top. He has to come on top. There's no reason for John Cena to come on top of
He's going to be on top of the first match. He is going to beat him the first time. But I'm telling you, brother, I know you said that the problem with John Cena and his farewell tour is time, but the last time is now.
that one.
And we're going to go win that fucking WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I'm
I'm
going
done
to
with
tell
you.
you that
I'm
right
done
now.
with you. The motherfucker
I'm
said the
telling
time
you.
is now.
I'm telling you, man, he's going to do it.
All right.
I will fucking put
Not the house
10
again.
I will bet you 10 bottles of Nightbloom, of your
Sure.
choice of Nightbloom, that John Cena will win the championship before he retires. He's going to walk away as the 17-time champion when it's all said and done. I don't know how we're going to get there, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I'm looking forward to his farewell tour. I will be in tears at WrestleMania 41 watching him live.
Yeah.
That will be happening.
All right. What else we got on the docket before we cash out here?
For sure. I wanted to ask you two more topics here. Wanted to ask you in regards to tomorrow night, uh, number one contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship. Jey Uso versus Ilya Dragunov versus Pete Dunne versus Braun Strowman. Who do you think is going to be the one face Braun Breaker next?
Out of all those, I think I have my money on Jay. I wouldn't be mad if it was Dragonov, just because we know that they're not gonna beat a breaker. But I think to get more eyes on him for potentially what's coming with the bloodline and all this shit, I think Jay takes over this one.
Agree. I think we're gonna see Dragunov versus Breaker at some point. It's not gonna be yet though. I
Okay.
do think Jey Uso is gonna win this match. The reason why, very similar to your thought process on this, is because the Bloodline 2.0 does not want to see anyone else in their family win gold.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the perfect opportunity to have Solo Sikoa send Jacob Fatu and Amatonga, or the infamous Tongaloa, to interfere with Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. And let's not forget, in the promos leading up to this match, Braun Breaker has taken a interest into Jey Uso, even going so far as telling Jey Uso backstage, like, "Hey, just drop out because I'm gonna beat your ass if you win. I'm gonna fuck you up." Essentially, what he told him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fuck you up, and there's never been anyone in your family, in your bloodline, anyone in my family, in my bloodline. That is the ultimate level of disrespect. The last time someone talked about that family's bloodline, a motherfucker got slapped in the face in front of all of Las Vegas.
True.
So, so I think that little seed that was planted there is going to lead to some sort of interference in that Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker match that I think we're going to get. They haven't announced though that if that match is going to be taking place on a Monday Night Raw or if that's going to be happening at Bad Blood in October. So I'm interested to see how that is going to play out. Do you give them 2-3 weeks of build up and then you have them fight at the pay per view for the Intercontinental Championship, or do you have them do it on a Monday Night Raw?
Just for this one, I would say we do it on a Monday Night Raw because then you can possibly do, because we're still waiting. I always forget about this, but we're still waiting on Jimmy to come back. If you do it on a Monday Night Raw, I think the pop of a Jimmy would be better than if you gave a Jimmy pop at a pay per view. No offense to Jimmy, he's great, but I think giving him a smaller pop, a louder pop at a regular show would be a lot better. So that's where my process is. I think um I think this happens on a Monday Night Raw so that if we do have any interference with the new bloodline, there's a potential that Jimmy can come save Jay, and that kind of gets the wheels turning for the OG bloodline versus the new bloodline storyline that is kind of in the wings right now. It's kind of paused. We have some stuff going on, but eventually that'll have to be brought back into the forefront as the main storyline. And I think this gives us kind of an opportunity. Just do it at a main show like a Monday Night Raw, and you get that nice pop, and you just move it on from here. Because if you do that for a pay per view, I feel like that's kind of like a wasted pay per view. You know what I mean?
For sure. No, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. I want to see how this is going to work itself out. I don't think you have Braun Breaker repeat himself twice in regards to the bloodline comment, because he's made that comment twice now on television. So I think they're doing that on purpose. So I definitely think we're going to get the bloodline finally forming up against Jey Uso here. Bloodline 2.0, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Make things interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, looking forward to see how this plays out. It, of course, is going to unfold with Jey Uso again losing another championship match.
Yeah.
He's been on the receiving ends of a lot of losses as of recently. I don't have a problem with. There's been a lot of online chatter, a lot of annoyance, a lot of Jey Uso fans upset. But I'm not. I'm a Jey Uso fan, and I am happy because this just means the motherfucker is going to get back to what matters most. Like Dominic Toretto, all that is family. So I'm looking forward to, we're already in September, brother. We're only 2 months away from Survivor Series, from from a Bloodline Civil War, from War Games. I hope, I would fucking hope. We're gonna have to wait and see. Next here that I wanted to cover as our last topic. It'll be a fun one, an interesting one to say the least. Um, AEW, AEW, and their stands. As we know, Ricochet has recently made his debut on AEW television. He made his debut at AEW All In a few weeks ago, as we chatted about earlier in the podcast. Uh, During that Casino Gauntlet match, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on Ricochet making the jump in general?
The jump in general, if it's true what he says, where he's just like, I want to go where I can enjoy my time wrestling, where I can have fun. I think him jumping to AEW is probably a good choice, just because I don't think they had anything for him really at WWE right now. I don't think he really fits in any of the big pictures. even a smaller picture, kind of like a U.S. Championship. I don't think he would have fit right to be going up against people that are going up against LA Knight right now. So I think him jumping ship is perfectly fine. I think what happened after him jumping ship is what we're going to talk about. That wasn't fine.
Yeah, that definitely was a problem. But I want to touch a little bit on the jumping ship thing.
Okay.
I, I listen. Ricochet, phenomenal wrestler, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
athletic as fuck. Um, Lucha Underground Ricochet was great. Ricochet, what he did, um, with the was it the United States Championship that he carried for a bit
Yeah.
for the Intercontinental? Yeah, he's been a champion. He was a speed champion, the first inaugural speed champion, whatever the fuck that means. In the WWE, right? The little
That's
3 minute
fucked up.
matches or whatever. Um, Sorry to anyone who's fucking the speed champion at the moment. I think is it still Andrade? Is it? I
I have
don't
no
fucking know.
idea. I don't
Anyways,
watch Speed.
anyways, listen. The motherfucker wasn't gonna win the world heavyweight championship. He's not gonna
No.
win the WWE championship.
Nope.
Right? He's a mid card guy,
Mm.
and that's okay. Some guys are mid card guys. Not everybody could be a top dog. That's just life,
Mm.
and that's okay. And of course, you want to be better. You want to be the best. You can be the best version of yourself. As fucking corny as that sounds. But Ricochet, the best version of yourself is not a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I'm sorry to say, brother, that's just not the not in this day and age. And it's not because of your wrestling ability. Because the motherfucker could wrestle. But you put him in front of a mic and it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't. And some people just don't have it. And that is okay. But he makes up for it with his in-ring ability. But my thing is, you're going to AEW. Do you think if you're Ricochet, do you think that you're gonna win the AEW World Championship at a point? Do you think that you're gonna win the AEW's next second fucking belt, the best belt, the international championship or the TNT title? Whatever the fuck. You may win one of those, but you're not gonna come. You're not gonna win a AEW World Champion. At least in my opinion, it's not believable for. But I mean, it's AEW. They're gonna put the shit on Darby Allin, so who the
I
fuck
was about
knows,
to
right?
say, I was like, well, let's take into effect what you said earlier. They're putting the fucking belt on Darby, maybe. Like, is it too much of a stretch to believe they'll put the fucking belt on Ricochet?
Yeah, that's fair. But listen, would you much rather be the fucking a fifth place team in the NBA or a fucking first place team in the G League? Like, no disrespect, brother, but you had it all. Like, you had your wife is in the WWE, you had a championship there, you had the money. Now you're gonna go be essentially like to me, in my opinion, like you're gonna be a jobber. You're gonna have the same role, not a jobber. You're gonna have the same role that you had in the WWE and AEW, because now his next feud is gonna be against Will Ospreay, as they tease following a recent All In pay per view and All Out pay per view. You're gonna go face Will Ospreay for the international. Will Ospreay just won the shit back. He just beat MJF. He just beat Pac. You're not gonna beat Will Ospreay in your first match, your first singles match in AEW. So I just feel like you're falling into the same problems that you fell into in the WWE.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But anyways, all in all to say, the motherfucker goes to AEW, right?
Mm-hmm.
He fucking shows up and he has his debut, and immediately, it's like they put something in the water over there. Fuck. There's a WWE fan who just randomly tweets, "Ah, I love Ricochet. I don't watch the AEW, but I guess I'll start watching I guess I'll start watching his highlights." I guess Ricochet caught wind of that and responded to that fan and said something along the lines of, "Oh, so you're a fan of mine, but you won't watch the show I'm on?" And then other fans responded saying, "Brother, I don't think she was saying anything bad. She actually said, I don't really watch AEW, but because you're there now, I guess I'll start watching some highlights." He went on to continue to argue with some of these fans on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, asking them and pleading them as to why they won't be watching the product that he's on. And I just think it's interesting. We've seen the online Discord, seen AW wrestlers go back and forth with the IW, and the brother wasn't even there for a week.
Not
He
even
wasn't
three
even there,
days.
not even 3 days. I think it was the first day
He
that he fucking
he
debuted.
didn't make it to
And he
Dynamite.
started arguing. Bro, he started arguing with people online. Like, what the fuck? What are your thoughts on that interaction?
Just like you said, fucking what is it? What are they like brainwashing these people when they go over? Why is it that anytime that anyone goes over from one brand to AEW, there's always controversy leading the following days after they get there. Like I said, he didn't even make it a fucking Dynamite. He popped at the pay-per-view and instantly started trouble. Trouble that wasn't even necessary. The person was literally just telling like, "Listen, fool, I don't like the product, but I will watch your highlights." He should have took that as a compliment. Like, shit, you don't like my product, but you're giving your time to watch me wrestle. That should have been taken as a compliment. Why he took it as an insult, I'm guessing people in the back probably gassed him up. It's a constant problem with these fucking superstars. The same thing happened a couple weeks ago with Britt Baker. She popped, she returned, and then instant drama. People were talking a bunch of shit backstage over how she came in thinking she was hot shit. Why? Why are you guys coming into this company and instantly starting drama? This is not a good look on you, and this definitely soured me on Ricochet because I was a fan of Ricochet. I was a big fan since Prince Puma. But this kind of behavior towards your fans, especially when a fan wasn't even saying anything bad about you, is fucking disgusting.
Yeah. And hilariously, he continues to argue with people online. And, there's a running joke about Ring of Honor, as AEW now owns Ring of Honor. Someone continued to tweet at him. They were like, he'll be on Ring of Honor in 2 months. And Ricochet responded, I hope so. I love Ring of Honor. This
Dumbass.
fucker. And then someone else goes, bro has been jobbing for 21 years. And to what Ricochet responds, it's really true though. Ha 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 ha. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they decide to argue with people online. And like you said, like the woman who tweeted at him, it was a compliment. He said, like, bro, I don't fuck with the show, but because you're there, I might watch the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
She never watched the shit prior to, so now you have someone watching your highlights. That might turn into her tuning in every Wednesday, every Saturday. That might gain you a new fan. But because your response was being defensive as to why won't you just watch the show that I'm on the whole thing, and you don't know if the woman got shit to do. Not everybody got enough time to be watching all this goddamn wrestling every week.
Exactly.
And for him to do that, like, instead of welcoming her in, instead of opening his arms and being like, okay, come check out my highlights.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a chance, you should check out the full show though, because there's so many other stars that you may be missing out on. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. That's all you had to fucking say.
That's PR.
You didn't have to be.
That was
You didn't have to be.
That was beautiful PR 101. You just laid it out.
Like, you didn't have to be a fucking asshole about it. All you had to say was like, thank you for checking out my highlights. Hopefully one of these days you could check out the full show, because there's so much talent here that it would suck for you to miss out as a wrestling fan. But nah, he wanted to be a dick. He wanted to be a fucking asshole for no reason. Samantha, come get your boy. Come get your boy, because he is tripping. And I fuck with Ricochet. I thought Ricochet was dope. And then he decided to go over there to All Elite. And I don't got a problem with All Elite. I kind of rock with them sometimes, not all the time. But come on, bruh. You can't argue with someone 2 days into your job. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's all I got to say about that. Any last... Go ahead.
Since you brought up Samantha, if Samantha is hearing this, which I doubt she'll ever hear this, but Samantha, sit your ass down, all right? We need you in WWE, and we don't need Ricochet poisoning you with his toxicity that he's learning over at AEW. You stay just right where you are because we love you in WWE. Ricochet, learn to fucking do some PR. It was as simple as Rob put it. Hey, if you enjoy me, hopefully you'll watch the show because we have great talent over here. They fucking love saying how they have the best talent wrestle here. Fucking push that. Why would you ever draw people away by going, oh well, you should, well, you'll watch my highlights, but not my show. What the fuck? Like that's not how you handle fans, dude. When the fuck were you told to handle fans like that in WWE? Was all that training that because I'm pretty sure they do all this kind of PR training in WWE. All that PR training just to disappear your body once you fucking joined AEW? Like what the fuck is wrong with you, dog? Like you really need
They just
you
immediately become defensive.
yeah, you really need to fucking take it a step back because guess what? That person that you just fucking shunned away was probably the person that got you where you're at in the fucking first place, supporting your ass this whole time. So be nicer to your fucking fans. And like I said,
Yeah.
that's all I
Yeah.
have to say on that situation. Ricochet, we like you, but
Yeah.
you gotta be better, bro. You gotta be better.
You tripping, bro. And you're not gonna be Will Ospreay. I promise you that shit. You're not gonna be Will Ospreay. So you're about to lose your first title opportunity in AEW. And where the fuck are you gonna go after? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You could have been in the WWE getting your shit rocked by Braun Breaker. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But all in all, what a fun couple weeks it's been in the world of wrestling. I'm looking forward to seeing what is next with the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud, with Gunther, Sami Zayn, with Bloodline 2.0, and Cody Rhodes. We have this upcoming Friday night SmackDown will be premiering on the on the USA Network. Their main event will be Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes in a steel cage match. So I'm looking forward to seeing that this week. Anything that you're looking forward to in particular this week, King Jess?
This week, no, not really. I think we're starting to simmer down a little bit from the pay per view rush. So actually, I'm excited to see where what storylines branch off for the next pay per view past Bad Blood, and I'm guessing we'll start those soon. Like you said, we have some number one contender stuff and all this shit going on. So I'm excited to see where we're gonna go from here because I feel like all the storylines that we've been focusing on are either being exhausted or they're being shelved for a little bit in order for them to brew up. So with the absence of those, we would need new storylines. I'm excited to see who we pull out, especially with all these new names coming in. You know, like you said, to NXT, and then the network's transitioning. I think there's a lot to come, and I think we're gonna start seeing that build up soon, if not post Bad Blood. I think that's what I'm more looking forward to. Um, the match versus Jay and Breaker is another one that I think I'm excited for, just because, like I said, the prospect of maybe Jimmy coming out and saving him if the new bloodline return or gets involved. But other than that, I think, like you said, I think it's just been good wrestling, at least from the WWE side. I have my personal gripes with AEW, and I think I might just announce it here. I think I'm gonna do my own personal pipe bomb on AEW because I have some thoughts that I don't think I'm in the headspace to talk about today. But yeah, wrestling is good right now. AEW, we have some issues. I'll adjust them soon. But overall, yeah, I'm really excited with where the product is going right now.
Sure. One last thing before we close the show, and I have a prediction for this week, for tomorrow night in particular. We found out that Bret Hart will be showing up on WWE Monday Night Raw since it will be taking place in Calgary, Canada, tomorrow night, September 9th of 2024. I have a prediction for how this segment is going to go.
Okay.
I think, being that he is the hometown hero,
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart gets the pop. Who better than to come out and shit on his fucking parade than the world heavyweight champion, Gunther?
What?
Gunther comes out.
I had a feeling you were
Gunther
gonna
comes
say that
out.
shit.
Gunther comes out. He says some disrespectful shit to this old man, talking about how Shawn Michaels fucking screwed him, how he couldn't win the big one in his home country, and how he's not like Gunther. And who comes out to defend Bret Hart? Me Zayn. That's how we get the
Ooh.
story
Okay.
continuing to
Okay.
roll. As both are Canadian gentlemen there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that we use to build their feud forward. That's my prediction. That's how I'm gonna close it there. If I'm right, I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I am wrong. But I think that's what's gonna happen tomorrow night. All in all, thank you guys for listening. We again apologize for the hiatus we took on there as life had taken some twists and turns for us here, but we're super excited to get this show back on the road. Thank you for your time. And once again, King Jess, any last words?
No, I think we'll just see everybody on Thursdays. I think I'm gonna be pushing back the release schedules for the episodes one day back, so we will be posting on Thursdays and Mondays now. Just so that gives us a little bit more time to, be able to edit these for you guys and push them out. But yeah, the next time we'll see you guys would be on Thursday for our midweek recap.
Fantastic. Hope everyone enjoys Monday Night Raw tomorrow, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Later.